progress.
And now.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Josephine Kagahi. I'm filling in some pretty big shoes. Andy's not here tonight, but we're here for the Tuesday, October 28th meeting, and in accordance with the provisions of the MGL Chapter 30A, Section 20, notice is hereby given that the Board of Health will meet on Tuesday, October 28, 2025, at 7 p.m. in Town Hall Meeting Room 124. Members of the public are welcome to attend this meeting in person at 1 Liberty Lane, Norfolk, Massachusetts, or by remote Zoom access connection provided. Please note that the in-person meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technical problems interrupt or recur. So, as you can see that the Zoom meeting link is posted, and there's a phone number to call in. I call the meeting to order at 7:05 p.m.
Great. You can call so the first item of business is the public hearing for the proposed amendments to the regulations of the Norfolk Board of Health restricting the sale of tobacco products.
Yes, thank you very much, Betsy. I, Josephine, make a motion to open the hearing to discuss the proposed amendments to a regulation of the Norfolk Board of Health restricting the sale of tobacco products.
I second the motion.
The motion carries. Is there any board discussion or any public comment?
So in your packet, you have a copy of the draft regulations that we've actually been discussing for quite a few months now. So I don't know if the board has any further comments.
I don't think, from my perspective, Betsy, not at this time. I believe we've discussed this, and where there were concerns, they've been addressed in comment. Perfect.
I think our Chair, Andy Bakanowski, who's not here with us tonight, he actually is, he's with these regulations as well. So if you might want to just check to see, we've got a couple people on Zoom land here. If anybody's got any comments that they'd like to make on the proposed regulations, we can take public comment now. I know Josh Pruitt is online. I think he's here for this public hearing. Josh, do you have any comments? He's not unmuting himself, so. No, I don't see any comments, so my suggestion is to make a motion to continue the public hearing to I think we've decided our next meeting will be on Tuesday, December 2nd, which is the week after Thanksgiving, at 7 p.m. if somebody would like to make a motion to continue the hearing.
So, Betsy.
Hold on one second. I've got one quick comment.
Sorry.
Has the meeting started? Everything is muted. Okay.
I muted it, my bad.
Okay, oh, sorry. All right, I'm sorry. Our Norfolk Cable had it muted. Perfect. Josh, do you have any comment on the proposed tobacco regulations? No, he's got no comment. So I think we're down a member tonight, so we're going to continue this hearing until our next meeting on December 2nd.
So, Betsy, I, John Bowman, would like to make the motion to continue the public hearing to discuss proposed amendments to regulation of Norfolk Board of Health restricting sale of tobacco products to December 2nd at 7 p.m.
I second that motion. The motion carries.
Perfect. So that hearing is continued now till December 2nd at 7 p.m. if anybody on Zoom is interested. So, and he has left the meeting, so apparently not. So we have Susan Siegel here from Return to Wilds. She has a rodent control presentation. She's got it up on our TV here. So Susan, we'll give the floor to you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And I, first of all, appreciate you sharing some of the time in your meeting for the Department of Health meeting, just to share some of the concerns that I wanted to bring forward to the town of Norfolk with regard to the rodenticides that we use in our public facilities, first of all, but eventually we'll talk about what is used in private residences, or what's allowed to be used. And not that we're doing anything illegal, but there have been a lot of studies, and I'm here to share right now the first stage of some education about what the concern really is. So let me just share a little bit about who I am and whatnot. My name is Susan Siegel. I am a registered nurse. I'm also a state licensed wildlife rehabilitator for the state of Massachusetts. I reside here in Norfolk. I am the founder and president of Return to Wild Wildlife Rehab, also here in Norfolk. What we do is we rescue and rehabilitate orphaned, ill, and injured wildlife from throughout Massachusetts with the sole purpose of getting them better, putting them back out into the wild where they belong. So when you say rescue and rehabilitate, what we mean by that is a possum gets hit by a car, there are 6 babies in the pouch, they're alive. What do you do with them? We take those, we keep them, we raise them, we wild them up for 3 months, 4 months, and we take them right back out to the wild and put them right back where they belong. You have a turtle that gets run over. Well, they're dinosaurs, and those shells can get fixed, and they get rehabbed, and they get put out where they belong. 90% of the animals that we take in to return to wild is a result of human activity. Pardon me. That was me. I'm so sorry. It's a wildlife call. Okay. We'll return that call shortly. Of course it is. Of course it is. Anyways, the other part of our mission, the second half, is to educate our communities on peaceful, safe coexistence with the wildlife in our neighborhoods and inspire current and future generations of wildlife stewardship. Because in Massachusetts and throughout the United States, there is no federal or state funding to care for wild animals, and people don't really know that. We have U.S. Fish and Wildlife, we have Fish and Game. Those organizations are wonderful in what they do, and they deal with population controls and things like that. They are there for the benefit of human recreation, fishing, hunting, whatnot. Rehabilitation is taking care of the individual animals, and that's kind of where the difference lies. But there is no funding. We are solely funded from the public. Okay? So, first of all, rodenticides, chemical pesticides designed to kill rodents, mice, rats, and whatnot. They are often seen in those black boxes that you see everywhere. They are at every mall. They are at every strip mall. They are in front of most businesses. They are right outside our schools, our public facilities, and we do have them here in town. What is in them is typically a rat or mouse poison. They're sometimes called with bait boxes and are maybe sweetened with peanut butter or whatnot to attract rodents to come and eat from them. The problem being is that humans, pets, wildlife share similar biology with rodents. And what happens is when the rodent eats the poison, then the predator eats the rodent, and they die too. That eagle you spoke of, it's only a matter of time. And they have found in Massachusetts, there have been a number of organizations that have done testing that they took, and I'm going to tread on thin ice here with regard to my numbers, but I can tell you that the percentage is accurate. They took approximately 100 hawks, tested them. Every single one of them had rodenticide in their liver, and it is stored, and it bioaccumulates until they can't take it anymore, and then they bleed to death internally. So anticoagulant rodenticides is what is commonly used now. These disrupt the liver functions, and they allow the blood not to clot. They interrupt the normal clotting process. So after ingestion, they work slowly. They lead to internal bleeding, neurological symptoms that progresses over several days. The rodent does not die when they put out rat poison. They do not die immediately. They take 3, sometimes 4 or 5 days before the rodent actually dies from the poison. During that time, as the condition worsens of the rodent sluggishly goes in and out of your house, or in and out of the building, or around the bait boxes, and then they become easier prey. And then that fox takes it home to its babies, and we have poison for dinner. First-generation anticoagulant rodenticides were used initially. This was many, many years ago. Warfarin, diphenolone, those types of anticoagulants were effective. However, over time, as many things happen, they become less effective. They also killed wildlife, but not at the extent that what our second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides do. Those are called eschars. You may hear about this in the news. Just yesterday, I was at a rally, and I did a verbal testimony at the State House to the committee, to the legislature, on banning eschars throughout the state of Massachusetts. So the bait boxes contain more potent chemicals in these eschars. They contain, the most common one we see is bromadiolone and also bromophenone. So unlike the first generation ones, the eschars deliver a lethal dose in a single feeding. Whereas with the first generation ones, they would eat them over time. It would build up in the mouse or rat. And even when the predator ate the mouse or rat, it would take quite a long time because it would metabolize so quickly through their system that it didn't necessarily kill them right away, or it didn't kill the wildlife at the extent that they're being killed now. So with these eschars, with each feeding, they ingest additional lethal doses, leading to toxic buildup. And these chemicals are metabolized quite slowly, and by the time the rodent dies, they carry about 6 to 7 times the lethal. They are a severe risk to predators, and essentially, they're like a time bomb, really. Every time, if you think of an owl that eats between 1,000 and 3,000 mice in 1 year, and you have these bait boxes everywhere, and the vast majority of those rodents have eaten from those bait boxes. I can tell you that it's just a matter of time before they all start falling. And I'm going to share with you some very specific examples, and it's not going to be pretty, but I want to show you what I see. And what you can ask any wildlife rehabber in Massachusetts or the United States of America, and they will tell you the exact same story. But I'm going to share with you a couple bit more of information. See those black boxes, right? Look familiar. So the bait box containing the eschar, the poison, is placed on municipal property. A rodent feeds once, possibly becomes a meal for an owl. The owl now has poison in its system. Again, they're eating dozens per day. Day 2, the rodent comes back, consumes a second meal, doubling its toxic load. That night, Mama Fox brings it home. Day 3, it feeds another time during in that bait box, from that bait box. They become weakened and disoriented. The rodent fails to return to its burrow. A natural predator finds it and consumes it. And that's what happens. These are bobcats, these are coyotes, these are fishers, these are owls, these are hawks, these are eagles, foxes. Those are the ones that are becoming poisoned from the second generation rodenticide. This is the life cycle. It does not just impact the rat. It kills the entire food chain. And sadly, it also impacts our pets. And there was a situation, this was 2.5 years ago now. It was actually in Rentham. And I had a person who was in Norfolk walking her dog over at the Rentham Developmental Center. She calls me and she knew what I did. She's like, Susan, there's like all these dead squirrels. They're all over the place. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, and there's also blocks of rodenticide everywhere. I'm like, what?
Oh, no.
So,
I remember that.
yeah, so I had gone over there and I called the ACO at the time to come with me. And he said, oh yeah, we talked to them about this before. I said, well, first of all, I know plenty of people who walk their dogs over there, okay? That's not right. That can't be out there. They're going to eat it. It's sweet, whatever. I mean, they get poisoned, and they do. And there was one or, if not two, that had shared that on Facebook, because, of course, when it started, and someone had put out on Facebook that this is what was going on, people were saying, oh, my gosh, my dog was over there. I brought him to the vet. They said, oh, my God, it must have been rodenticide poisoning and whatnot. You know, it almost killed him. So long and short of it is, that's one example. We got the environmental police involved. We talked to the state insecticide inspector who came out. They made them clean it all up. Apparently somebody was putting heaps and mounds of those green blocks, those, rodenticide in tree cavities and bird feeders because they didn't like the squirrels living there, which, if you've ever been over to that property, there are many abandoned buildings. It's just a haven, right? Well, you can't just kill them because 200 yards from where all those dead squirrels were is a bobcat den. And, I'm sure that those poisoned squirrels were brought home for dinner. You went over there was not a living squirrel anywhere to be found in a tree. There's a million trees. It's a beautiful piece of land. But not when you poison, and it goes, again, right up the food chain. So that was just one situation, not in our town, but the point being is it was people's pets that were being poisoned, as well as the dead wildlife that was literally, when I say literally, scattered all around the property. It was pretty poor. Okay, again, there's the chain of what happens. They eat the poison. The mouse or rat either dies or is lethargic. They're eaten by a predator, and the non-targeted animal becomes sick or dies. So, when a predator consumes and ingests this rodenticide, it bioaccumulates in their body. It disrupts their body's ability to clot. It leads to internal bleeding, brain hemorrhage, and neurological symptoms, and it progresses over time. The result, a slow, painful death for the animal. At risk in Norfolk, we have every kind of hawk: red-tailed coopers, red-shouldered, sharp-shinned, northern harrier, and broad-winged hawks. We have peregrine falcons, merlins, and American kestrels. We have great horned barred, eastern screech, and northern saw-whet owls. We have turkey vultures. We have bald eagles. Every single one of those raptors is at risk. Our mammals, red and gray fox. This particular little gray fox was actually one of ours, specifically. This one was not poisoned, but it was an orphan. Eastern coyotes, bobcats, fishers, striped skunks, possums, long and short-tailed weasels, and raccoons. I'm going to share with you some disturbing images, and I will say that up front. But I'm going to share with you just a couple of examples of my own experience with picking up animals that have been poisoned by eating poisoned mice and rats. This red-tailed hawk came to me from the environmental police, was grounded, was unable to fly. It had visible bleeding. You can see a little bit on its okay, here I am, the rehabber. The nose there. That's not the right word. I can't think of it. Thank you. Yeah, well, you can call it that if that wasn't what I was thinking of. But and also cloacal bleeding, which is their bottom. The hawk was very neurological, meaning it was kind of like bobbing and weaving. It could not fly. I took it in. I brought it to Tufts immediately. Within 24 hours, it was confirmed through necropsy, which is an autopsy for an animal, that it had died of secondary rodenticide poisoning. It had bled to death internally. This is another red-tailed hawk. I want you to look at that hawk's mouth. It's blue. It's not supposed to be blue. So could it be from the dye from the rodenticide? Sure. But also, more than likely, it's because it's bleeding internally, and instead of those mucous membranes being pink, they are blue. Despite the treatment, this hawk died from secondary anticoagulant rodenticide poisoning. You can see on the left is a hawk with a blue mouth, and on the right is what a healthy hawk's mouth should look like. I'm going to share with you, this is a juvenile great horned owl. This is me. I picked this, went to this person's home. They said they had this beautiful young great horned owl that lived in their backyard, and it was on the ground and it was not flying. But I want you to hear our discussion. Can you hear this?
Mm-hmm. Don't put it out here. No.
Is it in your house or in your garage or anything?
Occasionally I'll put it down into chipmunk hole.
Okay. So what probably has happened?
Oh no, I might have poisoned it.
That's most likely
no.
what's going on here, and I can tell by his eyes. I see a tiny little blood in his nose. So what happens is the rodenticide doesn't kill the animal right away, and then they eat the animal and then they get poisoned.
I had no.
Yeah, and you know
Should
what?
have thought of that.
You know what most people don't know, and we're actually trying to do something with the state to just educate people, because most people don't even, who thinks? It's like I have mice or rats in my basement, I don't want them either. use a snap trap inside.
Use the snap trap.
And, because they go in and out, they don't die right away. And then these guys eat them, fox eat them, and then they get rodenticide poisoning. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take him right to either Tufts, or this is what, I would almost guarantee this is what's going on with him.
See how neurologic, he's just, a great horned owls, they're fierce. There's no way he would let me hold him like that and be like, oh, this is cool. No.
And if we can get him back with hope, I'll hopefully bring him back right here to you.
He's been nesting right up here and right around here, and I can hear him. I've heard him, like I said, for all winter. I've heard him over here, and he
this
wakes me
guy's
up
young.
at night.
This is
Adolescent,
a juvenile, probably a fledgling from this year. See the fuzz in his head? See how fuzzy it is?
Yes.
I know, you hate that.
Yeah.
Look at those beautiful eyes.
Oh, when I turned him over.
This guy ended up that I took him right from here, we took him right to Tufts. He was in treatment for about 3 months. This one actually survived, thankfully. He was a young great horned owl.
Goodness.
What I wanted to share with you with that is, did you hear his response? Oh my gosh, I poisoned him. This was an older gentleman, so kind, and he was devastated. People just don't know. You put out this poison because you want to get rid of the mice and rats or whatever, rodents in your property or whatever, and they don't realize that they're poisoning the entire food chain. So the education is so important that people start to learn what we're doing. And we as government officials, as policymakers, as the voice of the people of the town, we need to take a stand and say there are other options, which there are, very effective options, to not use these types of poisons. Here's another example. This is a foxkit family, 3 weeks old. One was alive once we got them. We drew the blood immediately right away because you don't find a dead set of babies like this without having them be poisoned by something. Their clotting time was through the roof, their blood clotting time. They were immediately transferred to a hospital, and the only surviving kit died shortly thereafter. This is a tough one. This baby died in my hands. This is a baby fox kit. This was just this past summer. Came in with lethargic. It was having seizures. Its gums and tongue were pale. We did a blood clotting time immediately. We drew its blood right there in our clinic here in Norfolk. The normal blood clotting time should be less than 2 minutes. It was 30 minutes.
Wow.
We treated him, we put an IV in, we gave him vitamin K, we gave him anti-seizure medicines. We put him in. This is him. You want to see a baby suffer? This is what happens when we poison our wildlife. And you see this over and over, and you go, enough, 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 enough. The necropsy showed bromadiolone in his liver, 1,118 parts per billion. It should be 0. Second-generation anticoagulant rodenticide. Mama brought home poison for dinner. That's what happened. And you know what's even sadder? I found out from the person who found them that a week later he went out, found the den, the whole family was dead. This coyote pup we rescued, returned to Wild Rescues. It was found, this was not in Norfolk, this was found up at Brandeis University, but I want to share with you something that happens, because this happens to coyotes in our town as well.
Yes, I've seen that, yeah.
This was on the news. So Brandeis called, we went up, we found the coyote, this little pup here. They found the sibling was dead. This was the one that was still alive. He was so debilitated, he was full of mange. Now mange, pest control agents will say, oh, well, that's a naturally occurring disease. It wasn't rodenticide. I'm saying, you're right, it is a naturally occurring disease. But their immune system, because of the rodenticide, is so shot that they cannot fight it off. He was so debilitated, when we pulled him, he was hidden. He hid himself in an HVAC vent outside the school, and we found him, and we pulled him out, and I'm like, we're not taking him back to the clinic. I called a friend of mine, she's a veterinarian, Amanda Leaf at Heal Vet in Waltham, and she said, bring him to my house. We took him to her house. We worked on him, we gave him vitamin K, all the things, the blood clot. I don't even think the blood ever clotted. I set up there greater than 30 minutes. Yeah. It never even clotted. By the time I left, it still hadn't clotted, and that was like an hour and a half later. Did everything that we possibly could that night. He passed away in her arms. His necropsy. There it is, second-generation anticoagulant rodenticide, bromadiolone, 1,432 parts per billion. Normal is 0. This poor animal suffered at the hands of people putting out rodenticide to kill the mice and rats. There are better options. We cannot kill everything that gives us angst. We can control the population. Nobody wants rodents in their basement. Totally get it. We have other ways, and I just want people to understand that. I have no stake in this game. I don't get any financial support, whether our town or people of our town say get rid of it or don't. It does not matter. But I have a moral stake to make sure that people really understand what it is that we're allowing to happen, and we're allowing this to happen. See this box? Contrablocks. I don't know if you can read it. Active agent, bromadiolone. It's right out there across the park. Go look next to the Norfolk Public Library. It's the same type of boxes that are around our fire station, our schools, and all of our municipal facilities here in Norfolk, Massachusetts, and that is not right, and that is what I'm trying to change. We're poisoning our food chain by using this poison.
Wow.
What can be done? I've already had a meeting with our new facility manager. I shared with him my thoughts. He said, we are going to try and put in an integrative pest management program. And I said, that's great, as long as it doesn't include SCARs. And he said, well, pest control agents would argue that. I said, yes, they would, because they make a lot of money putting poison out in those boxes and saying, I don't have to come back for 2 months and I'll just sell you some more poison to put in those boxes. They're not picking up the dead animals that I do. That's the problem. The Massachusetts Department of Agricultural Resources are the ones who deal with this from a state level. And as I said, there are many towns that are saying they're taking action on their own and putting forth the proper paperwork through the state to say, we will not allow this in our town. I was at the State House yesterday. I gave verbal testimony at the State House. They took testimony from about 110 people. Every single person was in favor of those bills that they were trying to pass and said, this needs to stop. 2 people were there saying, don't stop it. The 2 people from the lobby for the national pest control agents, and 1 person from a national landscaping, because they use other things for rodent control. They use that as well, but it's more for the pollinators, that they were there to say, we need to be able to use this type of seed. It doesn't matter that it kills the pollinators.
What was the bill they were trying to pass?
I have the numbers for you. I can share with you. I have that in my other note.
Was it to support something?
No,
like
there were
that?
2. There was a Senate bill and a House bill. It was to...
House Bill 965 and the
Thank
Senate
you.
Bill 644.
You got it. Thank you so much. Oh, yeah, here it is right on my pin. Ta-da! Okay.
Where do
yes.
our
That was from yesterday.
where do our local leaders sit with this topic? Is Rob
So-
supporting this or not?
So I started this with our facility manager.
Okay.
I had talked to our, I believe now former Department of Public Works, obviously our animal control officer, because she, Officer Cohen, she picks up so many of these. She's brought me animals, and I'm like, he's dying right here in front of us both. She will attest to the fact that it's not 1, it's not 2, it's dozens.
So, Susan, I guess I have...
And so we're the first. So I said, we're going to start with the Department of Public Health and just share some information. Go ahead,
Can
sir.
I jump in on
Absolutely.
I guess, a couple levels? We certainly, Betsy, correct me if I'm wrong, we certainly can make a recommendation to the select board around the topic, or we could send a letter to the select board or on their topic around what we'd like to see done here in Norfolk. The broader issue is, what's being done on Beacon Hill
100%.
to regulate this. So real quickly, what does House Bill 965 and Senate Bill 644 cover? Does it limit the sale of these?
It does. So in one aspect, it limits the sale. Right now, SCARs are limited to be used by pest control agents. So licensed pest control agents. You call up someone, I have mice in my basement, come and take care of it, and they can use them. Okay, that's number one. It is saying that because the state has not done anything statewide, towns have put forth a home rule petition that they said, no, we Lexington, Arlington, Woburn, there's about 12 of them, okay? Newbury, dozens of them. And they're saying, nope, we don't want it in our town because you haven't changed the law yet. MDR, I was on an MDR meeting, which we were not allowed to speak at that. Only the people who are on the board or the committee at MDR are allowed to speak or testify. And they were going to conduct an independent evaluation. The research is there. Harvard, Stanford, Tufts, New England Wildlife Center, veterinarians from around the country. The research is there of what happens with this, and we're doing everything we can. Every time we get in an animal that is showing those symptoms, that is a delayed clotting time, we send out and we pay out of our own pockets for necropsies to say, look at this animal's liver, what did it die from? And over and over and over again, it's from second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides. It's secondary poisoning. I will say in my heart, I don't believe that anyone would want to use these poisons if they really knew that it kills the entire food chain. But it does. The other thing is that we have to be really cognizant about, these are real poisons. They're intended to kill. They're intended to cause internal hemorrhage. What do we think is happening to all those animals, the rats and mice that die of it, that aren't eaten by a predator? And where is that rodenticide going? It's going through our soil and into our water system.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, decomposing, yes.
100%.
Yes.
So
I have
Betsy,
someone at, oh, excuse me. Go ahead, sir.
Betsy, do we have the ability to promote this topic on the Board of Health website, connect it with the town website, just to promote public education on the topic?
I don't know the answer to that question, but you certainly can email and,
These are for you.
thank you.
I was figuring, I didn't know how many were here, so I figured you could, if you wanted to make copies, with just more information. And these are the bills.
Perfect. I can scan
Yeah,
that.
you can
send it
take
to
all
the-
of this, yes.
Send it to the members. And, you know, support.
So is it an email to the town administrator?
Town administrator and the select board and the facilities department.
Right,
Are
so
you planning on doing this presentation at a select board meeting?
I would like to, but like I said, I'm starting, I wanted to start with you folks, and because I do feel like it is a health concern. It's animal health to start, but eventually, as you
We're
know.
already dealing with forever chemicals and the ramifications
Yes,
of that, so
yes.
this is not that far off, you know.
Exactly, and it's,
And
yes.
Susan, please accept my questions as coming from
No,
a place of
please,
where
and
can
ask
we-
questions, and I'm gonna
where can-
totally-
Where can we support
Yes,
to help
and-
drive this
and-
forward?
I want to tell you, I wish I could say that I am like the absolute expert on rodenticide, and I am not, but I've learned so much, I've seen so much, I've publicly do whatever I can, and I do a lot of community education just on wildlife in general, and I talk about rodenticides. You know, I feel responsible for just making what is happening be known to the public the best way that I can, and I can get you whatever research you would like. I mean, I'm not going, like I said, I'm not going to tell you I'm the expert. I can get you the research studies, the Stanfords, the this, the that, all the ones that happen. So you have science behind it. Because it's, do I get choked up when I have to talk about it? Sometimes, because I just remember those times when I'm holding this little baby fox and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the worst experience of my life. And it's gut-wrenching, but you know, emotions are one thing, but the science behind it is showing what is happening. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're doing this. Humans are doing this. We need to stop. There are other ways, and there are other ways, and I want to share that too, because like I said, I don't know if Norfolk, I don't think it does. I've not experienced it, and I've not heard a lot about it. It has a huge rodent issue, but maybe some buildings do. But there are other remedies, and that's what this next slide is about, is what an integrative pest management program would look like. And again, it takes human responsibility. It takes, number one, the common sense pieces, securing the trash receptacles and dumpsters. Food is what brings rodents in. Repairing holes in trash cans, tight-fitting lids, and closing the drainage holes in dumpsters. If you have to drain the dumpster, pull the plug out, let it drain, put the plug back in, because that's where the rodents come and go. Remove or secure enclosed metal bins, outdoor pet food, bird seed, and animal feed. People want to feed birds. That's awesome. I love birds. I have nothing against people putting out bird feeders. But if you put them away from your house so you can still see them, but they're not right up against your foundation, so you can keep those mice and rats from coming and eating that feed. Close entry points. And this is a sticking point. You ask a pest control agent, they're going to say, well, people can't afford to do that, so they just want me to put out poison. And I said, and you're going to have to come back over and over and over again to put
Yes.
out more and more poison. And
Yes.
if poisons worked, we would not be having this discussion because they've been around for decades. If poison worked, they would be gone and we wouldn't have a rat and mouse problem. The problem is they reproduce like you would not believe.
Yes.
In 1 year, and this is a fact, in 1 year, one pair of rats turns into 15,000 rats. Because one rat gives birth between 6 and 10 times a year. They give birth to about 12 babies. Within 2 months, each of those babies is in reproductive phase.
Wow.
And then they breed amongst each other. It doesn't matter. And they each have 12 babies every month or two. And then in 2 months, they reproduce. That's what happens. It's exponential. Exponential. So what now is the recommendation? And when I told you I could share with you any types of information, so the person who was leading the event at the State House yesterday was the head of Audubon. So this is nationally supported, okay? And MSPCA, the whole 9 yards. Everybody was there who has any stake in this game whatsoever. And what they are recommending is rodent birth control, and it works. And it does not poison, and it does not cause birth, it does not create birth control in our predators. It only impacts the rodents that eat it. Evolve, ContraPest, those are two different brands that are used, okay? They are a little bit more expensive than poison, but they eat it once, and it will control, it will not allow them to breed successfully for about 2 to 3 months at a time. It's highly effective. It does not kill wildlife. To see the efficacy, because remember, you're decreasing the rate. You'll start to see it in a couple of months, but by 2, 4, 6 months, you're going to see a huge decrease in the population. We will never eradicate rodents, nor should we, because they feed so many other animals, but we can control the population for certain because they're just breeding at exponential rates.
You're saying.
And we're killing the predators, so we're losing the predators, and but the rats and mice are continuing to breed exponentially.
You said that this birth control doesn't impact the predator.
It does not. No, it does not. I often tell people, if you have, mice or rats in your house, if you want to use a snap trap, a lot of people don't like them because then they have a dead mouse that they have to deal with. That is true. But if you take that non-poisoned dead mouse off that trap and you start putting them outside on your property, and overnight the owls start to see them, the fox start to know they're there. You're creating your own natural predators coming and taking care, because they can there's food around this house. I'm going to hang out around here, right? That's what you want. You want your foxes, you want your possums, you want your raccoons, you want your, coyotes to be around. They're the ones who are eating the rodents.
Yes.
Okay? That's natural rodent control. In high-volume areas, putting up owl nesting box to attract owls. Owls hunt at night. That's most typically when rodents are most active. And we want to also prevent a crisis. When there's a lot of construction, especially digging, what happens is, a lot of rodents live underground, especially mice and rats, and it causes them to just, come out of the ground, and then they end up in people's basements and this and that, and it's and it's scary, right? It's kind of something out of a horror movie. They had this issue it was either Attleboro or North Attleboro, I can't remember, when they were doing a lot of construction there. They had a huge rodent issue. The other thing that I believe to prevent that crisis is if we know there's going to be a big dig of sorts, a big thing that's happening, and there's going to be a lot of digging, that the companies who are doing it, whether it be for a house or a building or whatever, is to start putting rodent birth control. They look like bait, they're bait boxes, just like any other bait box, but there's not poison in it. 2 months in advance, just put them all throughout the property. So you start decreasing the rodent population.
That's a good idea.
Immediately before they go and dig, and then they scatter, and then everyone's like, oh no, we need poison now, we got to kill them right away, and that's something that I believe should also be part of this.
Makes sense.
Okay. Last but not least, I ask that we let our wildlife live, we let our natural rodent control do what they do. They're quite effective at doing what they do, but when the rubber meets the road and there's a mouse in your basement, or many, it's up to us to take the action to say, you got to block up the holes. You got to stop putting out, keeping your pet food outside. You got to stop feeding the feral cats that are coming around, because that cat food is also attracting rodents at your, near your foundation, on your porch, under your porch, whatever. We have to use common sense, put our trash away, all those types of things, and then decrease the population. So, again, this is something that we can either file an ordinance, like many other towns have, banning the use of second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides on public property in our town, and/or filing a home rule petition that says we prohibit any use of eschars throughout our town, whether it be on public property or private. And that would be the end for me. So I just wanted to thank you for letting us come in and just share some information, and I can get you all the the scientific reports, put you in touch with Audubon, whomever, to get, the real big-time studies in writing, if that is required for anyone, because I can respect that, and I know that people want to go by science, not just by someone saying, I don't like to see sick, dying animals. But this is what we're dealing with. Those are all patients that returned to wild this year. Just some cute pictures, but we'd like to protect them. Those are all predators, and we'd like to protect them. The end.
Thank you.
Well, this was incredible.
Okay.
It's definitely an eye-opener, really.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And, I shared with you that video of that gentleman, but most people say that. His reaction was to me, I'm like, I have to share this video, because it was him saying, oh no, I poisoned him. He didn't even, it doesn't dawn on most people.
No.
You don't really think of that. You're just like, oh, gross, I have this animal, we got to get rid of this. And they're like, well, it's legal. And that's why we're after the state saying, oh yeah, it's legal. You can buy it on Amazon if you want. Even though here in Massachusetts you can't, it has to go through a pest control agent. I can still buy eschars on Amazon, put them in my basement if I wanted to. It's for sale. It's a big problem. It really is a big problem, and it's but we can start locally. We can set an example. We can do our best with what we have and what we're able to do in our own town. If I still had young kids in my school system, I'd be like, don't even go near those black boxes that are outside near the playground. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. So that's it. Thank you. I took up way more time than I thought. Here it is, 10 minutes of 8. I said, I'll be talking for 15 minutes, and then I'll let you go. But
No, a lot of time and care was put into that, so thank you.
Exactly.
Betsy, I guess, can we...
And I had to prepare so much for my verbal testimony yesterday. I was a nervous wreck that I had to, I had my video, but I didn't, wasn't as smooth as I normally would like to be when I give my presentation. But
Betsy, do we have the ability to send a letter to the town administrator on the topic and ask?
I don't see why not. Matt, do you have any thoughts on the subject?
Yes, I think that just some public outreach and education can go a long way. I certainly wouldn't, personally on the Board of Health side of things, be opposed to, having the town set a good example and not using unsafe products. That being said, it's not really necessarily the Board of Health's authority. It would have to come from the town administrator and Board of Selectmen. Certainly don't have an issue, supporting the effort. Ultimately, it would be up to the select board. As far as banning them in town, I'm a firm believer that a regulation is only as good as the ability to enforce it, and it's just not an enforceable thing, only because, if it was a matter of, working with the state and pest control operators, to ban certain products, it's one thing, but anyone can go to any hardware store, Lowe's, Home Depot, and buy it and put it in the yard, and it's just so difficult to enforce, So, but I certainly am not in any way, shape, or form opposed to supporting the town to stop using the products and set a good example for the remainder of the community, and certainly doing whatever we can for public outreach and promotion, whether it be put things on the website, flyers, we have, all our health fairs and things the nurses put on, we can certainly, add this to that as well.
So Betsy, does this require a motion for us?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think you can, certainly, we can do some public education, post, the information on the website. I would suggest reaching out to the select board
Okay,
and try to.
I can do that, and your direction is appreciated.
I would ask to get on the agenda to do that presentation to them as well. They're the ones that do the budgets, so
Right,
they're,
right.
They're, just if I can interject, I do business with a pest control company that doesn't use these, and that's the first thing they do when they come to a house is you need to plug all these holes up. That's like the
Exactly.
first thing.
That's good.
And then,
good.
they said, you have pets in the home, you have children, all these other things going on, and for the same exact reasons you were explaining here, they don't recommend doing that. So, I don't know if they're few and far between, but I mean, they certainly educated me, maybe.
We don't want that stuff in our
I know,
environment.
and they-
for
by the way-
multiple reasons, right?
Yeah, and their treatment has been effective. I mean, the holes are plugged up in the foundation. They're not getting in anymore. The few that do get in have a regular clip, mouse trap, and one that sticks, and none of these things. None. Okay, so it's effective.
It is.
Yes, it is.
It is. And like I said, we'll never eradicate them.
Yeah.
But we can control them.
Yes.
We can make it livable,
Yes.
and doable. And Matt, I appreciate your thought about the enforcement. And yes, it would be difficult. However, even if we were able to get to that point, and this would be, we can take one step at a time. We can start with municipal and hopefully educate the public and all of
Education,
that.
yes.
Education is the most important in my eyes, because I think, in my heart, I believe that the majority of people would say, I don't want to do that. And they would choose a different alternative.
Well, I was educated. I didn't know anything about it
right.
before this person came in, and it was effective, so.
There are pest control agents that will say, oh, no, there's not enough poison there, that's going to hurt anything. Well, it might not if they take one bite. And it might not if the owl only eats one. But it does, because it accumulates right up the food chain. However, we would be able to, I believe, enforce any pest control company selling Escar poison to a resident could technically be fined or whatnot by the town, or however that those policies would be written or worked, or the enforcement would be conducted, that they're not allowed to sell it, because in Massachusetts, only pest control agents can actually sell the Escar unless the person orders it and gets it out of state and can bring it in. So that would be something, they can say, well, I can't, I have to do it this way. I can't put poison out, or I can't put this type of poison out.
Yes, and
Right.
this is like Norfolk's on the list of that we
Yeah,
can't put the
you
poison.
can't sell it in this town,
Yes.
period.
And I can't treat it this way in this town.
Correct, you can't treat it this way in this town.
Yes.
And actually, the person who was debating and against the bills that were at the legislature yesterday said, it's just a lot of paperwork for us, and I think everyone in the room went and just shook their head like, seriously?
I can't believe
It was like, no. It's just that it gives them a little bit more work to do for their money, but that's it.
Is there a letter we can send in to folks in Beacon Hill?
Yeah, so actually, the leader of the committee, I believe, is our Senator Rebecca Rausch.
Yep.
She was the leader of the committee. I actually introduced myself to her. She was, on the panel, and I had to sit up at the table and give my little spiel. So she was the head of that committee. So her,
Yeah, is there a letter, though, that we can send on behalf of this legislation for it to move forward?
The draft?
yeah, I can put my hands on one, absolutely. I don't have one with me, but I can get
you send it to
one
us?
for sure.
Just send it to me.
Okay.
Thank you. Because, that's certainly something we can circulate.
Absolutely.
Across the town and across the region. Folks in Beacon Hill tend to listen to their constituents every once in a while.
Yes.
And I'd be more than willing to put pen to paper to get that out.
And I believe that would be the Senate, well, I'll put both of the,
Yeah, there's the Senate and the House bill. I can more than glad to send a letter to.
I did bring these for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I will absolutely get you that.
And you are willing to speak on in community events here in Norfolk?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yes.
Is the telephone
Yes.
number in here the number we can reach you at?
Yes, actually, I'm going to give you my personal cell phone, the number on my flyer and on my business card, but I'll give that to you, I'm going to give you my personal cell because otherwise it's on our wildlife hotline line.
A couple of groups that I think may be interested. And I'll follow up with you.
That would be great. So that's my cell, I'm at the top
Thank
corner.
you.
You can text, you can call. If you had any questions too about numbers or, anything like that, or, what we're seeing, asking Hillary, our ACO, she's phenomenal, and
We have to be responsible citizens.
we do. You already have my cell, but I'll give it to you. Right, sorry.
This was really informative, so thank you.
Really, it was.
Thank you, I'm glad. Thank you for taking the time,
Nope.
for allowing me to take your time.
Time very well spent.
Well, thank you for
Appreciate
coming.
it. If I had time, I would have brought baked goods, but
Oh, Susan, thank you for
Thank
coming.
you. I'll follow up with you later in the week.
That sounds
There's a couple of groups that I think would like to get you in front of.
Okay, beautiful.
Okay.
All right.
Pleasure.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much.
Pleasure. You did a great job filling in for, were you filling in for someone, or are you always?
Yes, I was feeling.
Were you?
Stepping in big shoes tonight, yes.
Thank
Stop in
you.
and see me someday.
Good to see you.
'cause
Yes, I will.
I have something for you.
Of course you do. All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
Moving on.
So I think approval of minutes.
Sure.
So I'd like to make the motion to approve the 9:23 meeting minutes as written.
I second that motion. Motion carries.
Perfect. So next on our agenda is, we had talked about the body works regulations at our last meeting. I think I had made some edits based upon our discussion. John, you're gonna get me some language.
Yeah, I have some core language to get to you.
Perfect, yeah, and then we can just, we'll just continue the discussion at our December 2nd meeting. Matt, is there anything else that you wanted to say about the body works regulations? I know it's just still a work in progress.
Yeah, no, I don't think so, not right now.
That works for everybody. And then, so we have the health agent updates. Matt, do you just want to give a little update about what we've been working on?
My end of things, nothing too crazy. Everything's been steady, but nothing really noteworthy. I believe Kerry's the same, nothing too out of the ordinary. To get Nevada was back open after they had their little accident there in the building.
Yeah, that took about they were closed for 4 or 5 weeks, I think.
Other than that, I don't think there's been anything too out of the ordinary.
No, I agree with you. Any questions for Matt?
Nope, nothing here.
No, I don't have any either.
Matt, thank you for doing what you do for our town.
The 111 Dedham Street, I did talk to Andy yesterday. He did tell me that the Phase 2 comprehensive site assessment report is due in December, and a draft is coming. So stay tuned on that. I'm sure he'll have more updates in December. I don't know, does anybody have any Norwood Hospital? Anything?
No, I haven't heard of anything since
I
the
haven't
rally in
either.
September.
No,
haven't, no.
exactly. And then we did change our next meeting to Tuesday, December 2nd because of the Thanksgiving week. And I think that's it. Does anybody have any unanticipated new business?
No. Nothing here, do you?
Nope, I don't have any in it.
So I'd like to make the motion to adjourn, Betsy?
Yes, at 8:02.
Yep. I second that motion, John.
Okay.
All right, so we're adjourning. Have a good night.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night, everyone.